load up a Fez. Now would be a pertinent time for somebody to entertain us with either some questions or a joke of the day or something. And right, 45.9 for the Ferrari. I'm loading the test session again from iRacing, from VRS, sorry, so that we've got the same conditions. I just need to set that off and load the base shakers, and then we can all watch the bar load. iRacing, watching the bar load. Right, here we go. Where is it? Okay. So, anybody here actually use the Ferrari as their weapon of choice? I like it more so than the old one. And I don't know why, because on the face of it, they just changed the seat, didn't they, or something? Right. Evo, Knockhill. So, on paper, this is a couple of tenths in the hands of Mr. VRS Man slower. So if I can get below a 46.5, I think we'll be doing all right.
In Sim Experience database. Profile modified.
Wave to the pit guy on the way past, and we're off. I've done exactly no laps in this car around this racetrack, but we now know which way we're going. So, oh, hello. He says. Takes me a while to get used to the fact that the steering rack is undoubtedly slower in this car. I have to steer more. Righty. As per normal, like, you know, I've been driving a big heavy front engine thing, so let us just build into this, see how the car rides the curbs, get some visual clues for how it's going to turn. So it turns in better there, as you'd expect, because the engine is helping us with the rotation. It should ride that a bit better. It will want to be more taily on the exit there. And I feel already the tricky part is going to be down into here. A lot more lock needed. It wasn't even an off track. That's brilliantly hilarious. My new Ferrari Evo Rallycross edition. Alright, 47 flat for our opening gambit. Let's try not actually launching the car into space this time, seeing if that helps. Gets in there a bit better, gets off there a lot better than the BM. No, still in the air. Superb. Right, come on. Let's one braking zone, John. How hard can it be? I think there's going to be some merit in just allowing the weight to transfer to the rear coming through there, you know, rather than being all lead foot about it. I think that will pay dividends in drive traction. Definitely doesn't handle the flight quite as well as the BM. Hasn't got that big engine up front dragging you through the turn, I guess. Crossed up on the way into the corner, which was a shame because it was nicely out of control. So it's definitely easier through this complex. It stops and turns better into there once I start using an appropriate amount of lock. It definitely is a bit sketchier on the flight over the curbs. Oh, nice drive traction off the corner. Okay, come on. .46.6, we're getting there. You can definitely push a bit more over the crest at turn 1 with this car because you can get it back to the apex for turn 3 easier. Oh, that feels a bit deep. And was. And that's what I mean about driving with a rhythm. If you are constantly watching your bar, you don't learn by feel and by visual clues what's too much. Because I turned it off within half an hour of starting iRacing, and ever since I have been working off my visual clues and what my hands are telling me, and because of that I feel well, one of the things people say a lot to me is that they have to concentrate on one car. They can't jump in and out, like not even a GT3 to a P Cup car, but essentially it's all the same. I'm looking to move the weight around the race car using trail braking to add weight to the tyres to energise the car at the right point for grip. I'm looking to maximise my grip circle. I'm looking to drive the widest, you know, least line of least resistance through the corners. That's no different in any racing car. And because I do it all by eye and by feel, and maybe that takes a little longer to learn to start with, but it opens up a whole potential for you to chop and change. And for me, the act of constantly challenging yourself to feel the grip in the road and constantly challenging yourself to work out what the best line is. You know, yeah, we're in the same class, they're BOP'd, but I've got a completely different race car here. It's got a slower rack, so I need more steering lock. It rides the curbs different to the BMW. It achieves its lap speed, even though its lap speed in the hands of the same VRS professional are within 0.2. It achieves its lap speed in quite a different way, but I'm still looking to do the same thing. I'm looking to challenge myself to find the rhythm of the car. All my references and cues are basically the same. They just need slightly modifying, and I think the more you work on that, the better at it you get, like, you know, like anything. See, this car appears to drive better from up the inside off the corner. That's a couple of feet difference.
You're currently 0.10 off your best.
Oh, missed the turn-in. Oh, well, that's good to know. You can take an off-track without taking a slow down. It's a bit more frantic in this thing. If you want to work out round Knockhill, get yourself a Ferrari, and I have a sneaking suspicion when we jump in the Porsche it's going to be one tail happy roller coaster of a fun time ride. Oh, hello. Shame about the off-track. Look, this is a much better lap. And I'm 1/10 off my BMW time. Just got to do it legally now. Oh, slid too much over the curb. Slowed it down too much. Yeah, see. And I don't need the Delta to tell me that because the car's slid. I can see it. Oh, and that is just to use if anyone's playing Martin Brundle bingo at this early hour of the day, a day late and a dollar short. Right, well, we'll settle with our 46.2 if that's all we've got. And I know there was an off track, but it's close enough for jazz, as they say. Oh, the inside curb is a killer there. Although we'll get you out of trouble in a race. Yeah, look. Let's stop this and examine that lap. Right. Pause. And you've done it before, John. You should know what you're doing. There we go. And let's go. So same process for me. Using the same bit of road. I've kind of done neither one thing nor the other there. I've hit the red curb, but only enough to upset the race car and not enough to actually chop the line. So when we go to the data, I would expect this section, yeah, there was the off track. So at least we know what caused the off track now. So I need to pinch a bit more of that curb. But good to know that's not a slowdown if you need to pass someone. And that made me miss. So I'd expect to be losing a bit in that sector. Wow, that's quite an aggressive use of the curbs. Let's have a look at that. Definitely rides that curb better than the BMW does. Look at that. We're fully in the air. So although it's more sketchy, it's because the car will take a better line through there. Or road. Yep, that was okay. I think. Looked alright, didn't it? Looked alright. And I'm taking the car deeper on the brakes. Turn off your delta bar. Absolutely. You know, like, it's one of those things, isn't it? I hear people say they use it for practice and don't use it in the race, and like ultimately do what you want to do, I guess. But for me, the delta bar is something. Oh right, okay, yeah. See, again, it serves me no purpose. I want to drive with a rhythm, and if I've mucked up a corner, I can't arrive at the next corner and do anything but drive it in my normal rhythm. And if I'm looking at a bar saying, oh my God, I'm 4/10 down, I need to chase that, then, you know, you just simply can't go through. If you were able to go through that corner 4/10 quicker, you'd be doing it already, wouldn't you? So you're at your own personal maximum. And thank you for the compliment. One is trying. Yeah, so that for me is why it's of no use to me. And anything that distracts me from the road up ahead, there's already a lot going on, isn't there? We've got we're trying to coordinate our feet to, you know, to hit the pedals and be smooth on the controls. We're trying to match the coming off the brakes with loading the weight transfer with the wheel and then getting the car into the corner. We're trying to drive the right line. There's an awful lot going on in a racing car. To then be distracted by a bar going red takes you away from your next apex. If you're looking at the bar rather than down the road, for me it compounds the problem rather than helps the problem. Right, anyway, to the datas. Now we know there was an off track there because I was a naughty boy, and we know it's because I was a bit neither here nor there over the curb. We can see I've taken a slightly narrower line, so maybe missing that red splodge is the best way in the Ferrari. However, I am going to persevere and try and get more of it and see if that helps the car turn. So I've lost a bit, 5.8 k's over here, but here is the problem. As the car slid, and morning Liam, or is it evening Liam for you? As the car slid, I had to come out the throttle. Here, this big old swoop out the throttle, this directly correlates to this. If we hadn't have looked at the lap, I might be looking at this thinking, oh, I need to be faster here, but we know this was a mistake turning in, so therefore I'm not worried about it. Consistently, I am a bit quicker in the mid corner and I'm losing a bit off, so I might need to look at slowing the car down and just squaring it off a fraction. But the good news here is that there was a mistake made here and there's only a 1/10 difference. So, you know. Now to the tricky bit where the car is literally flying over here. We're doing quite similar things. I'm out the gas a bit. He is hard on the throttle over the first curb and then is reintroducing the grip slowly. And this is what I was saying earlier in the BM, I think. As you drive over curbs, if you approach the corners too fast and you're off throttle, the car sort of compresses on the shocks. It will, and then it will bounce. If you've got forward momentum, you will drive the car, so the car will hit its compression stroke as you hit the curb, but because you've got forward momentum, you sort of take that like a ski jumper, if you will. You know, you want to take your momentum forwards rather than, or a motocross, maybe a better analogy. You know, they hit the jumps with the power on so that they don't go up in the air, they go forwards, and that will keep your car more stable. So if you're losing it over the curbs, try backing the corner up and neutral, you know, slowly apply the throttle. You can see here is where I'm building up to about 50% throttle, and then as the car grips I can get back on it. The graph looks further apart here. As I said earlier, it's because this sector is smaller, so you can't tell from how far apart the graphs are. You have to click on it and see what the time loss is. So it's a 10th. I've just started driving this car. I'm not too unhappy about that. Into Clark, turned in a bit late, and you could kind of see that from the replay. So look at the time loss isn't much, but I'm trying to do the best I can do. So I know from the replay that I was a bit slidey on the way into the corner, and then I can go and look at why that is. So obviously I have braked later and lifted off the throttle later. It's resulted in me having to trail harder, and here is where the biggest difference is, and here is where the time goes. So I'm still on the brake here because I've just braked a fraction late. It's taken me wide into the corner. I can see that from the replay. I've confirmed that in the data. I can see that from the delta bar graph. I know where I can gain time. It's not a lot of time, but I know where I can gain time. As I'm sure you are, I'm always great down the straights, but I'm not wandering about now. I've learnt my lesson about driving down the white line. And then into the final corner. Here we go. Where I was struggling here in the BMW, I am much better. I am only Valentino Rossi behind in the braking zone here. And yes, thank you, Liam. My trail braking, for anybody that was with me last season, my trail braking has been a problem. I'm still crossing my feet over. These are personal traits that you build up a picture of your own habits when you look at your own data. I've got a seat, as you can see, fancy proper GT3 seat, and I really think that is helping. My back is flat against the back of the chair, and I'm locked in at the sides, so when I hit the brake I'm not pushing into the foam of the old car seat, so my braking can be more consistent because of it. Anyway, back to the track. So there's no one massive area here. I know I missed turn 1 a bit. I'm going to try to be a bit quicker over the curbs, so I'm just going to have another run and see how I get on. But the one thing I will never know is whether driving the BM has helped me in this, or whether I'm just better suited to this Ferrari round here. Let's get out the pits and put that on. I haven't hit the wall once coming out the pits, Liam. You'd be so proud. Oh, I might have hit the wall once actually. I've only hit the wall once coming out the pits, Liam. Right, so let's get some heat in the tyres and see if we can do a better lap. So I want to keep all my rhythm the same. I've been getting through the final corner really well where I wasn't in the BM. So I want to keep that the same. I'm going to experiment with the turn 1 red splodge curb. We know VRS guy is missing it, but oh hello, that's too much air. But I think I can take that curb. So even though my braking marker is different into the final corner, the reference point that I've got in the BMW is what I'm using as my marker, and that's back to the rhythm thing. I've just changed the rhythm, so I'm braking a little after it. You know, I guess if you solely go out in the Ferrari, you'll need just a Ferrari braking reference, so we'll have a look at that. Deep, wide. Don't need the delta bar to confirm it because I can see it, and that's what you gain from not having it on. You gain the awareness around the racetrack. You use your visual clues of where your car is pointed as you're entering the turns and all of that sort of stuff, and that becomes your own personal delta bar, your internal measure of success. Oh, that was on the edge. No, back to the gas. Nice. Shh, we're really loads up, so let's not try and cock it up down here. Okay, we cocked it up a bit, but 46.1, so already, oh, that might be too much. It protests a bit when it flies. Oh, that curve really is too much. But it's all right if you can, as I say earlier, if you can sort of ride the curbs with a neutral throttle in this thing, it will scare the bejesus out of you for the first few laps, but once you get used to the rhythm of it, I don't feel like it's going to fire me off at any moment. So, you know, it's all good. So yeah, I think my braking marker for... I'm looking at the curb now because I'm past the the gravel. I'm not braking at the curb, but that's now my reference point. Oh yeah, that's too much. There's a very specific way of tackling the jump. We need to pick apart for repeatability what that is, I feel. Right, I've done a 46.17 and I've got a O lap of a 46.103, so yeah, drive it over the curb. Try and get it straight and semi-pointed in the right direction. Lost too much time at the beginning. The jump was okay. Too much sliding. Right, let's examine that faster lap. .46.1. Okay. My I rating is 28 something or other, Barry. Most of which I got driving the Z4 BMW, which will tell you how long ago that was. Why was I driving the Z4 BMW, or why is my I rating 2800? Yeah, let's go back. Let's check this out. So it leaps, but it lands okay. Yeah, it's not banging the front splitter or anything as it lands, so why not 5k? Yeah, well, good question. I don't race as much as I should, although the purpose of me streaming, I enjoy this process. I enjoy the track guides. I enjoy helping teach people how to think about things in a different way and, you know, go and improve themselves. But yes, I need to race more. I just nipped that on the way through. But yeah, 5k would be nice, wouldn't it? I'm going to attempt to race a lot more. If I hadn't clipped that curb and I rattled through that sector. Right, so here we go. The car bounced, but landed really well. So for me, I'm trying to get a visual clue. Right, so where this is, hold on, let's get rid of that. Where this is, I think, is the line to be looking at of how to launch yourself. You can ignore the orange bollards. We can fire ourselves up there, flick the car over the curb. And then it lands and takes off. And again, no visible signs of damage or anything. So I think that's the way forwards. Yeah, and look, so here we go. You practice for 3 laps and get bored. Yeah, no, fair enough. See, you know, there's iRacing's a pastime, isn't it? It's our hobby. It's to different people, different things, and the process I enjoy is challenging myself. I like the coordination aspect of driving the racing car. I like the process of trying to extract as much as I can from myself. Let's see where I put the brakes on here. It is halfway between, or is it nearer? Oh no, look, there we go. So it's just past I was braking here in the BMW, and I'm now braking 1 car length in. So it's maybe, what, 2 car lengths difference in this thing. So it's good to know. Sorry, what was I waffling on about? Yeah, you know, it's different things to different people. And I think this is where the consternation and the arguments and things over people crashing in races happens. Because you might have put in 12 hours practice and you jump in a race with somebody that's done 3 laps of practice and starts a race. Neither of those things are right or wrong. They are what they are. What I'm sort of trying to get across with the way I go about things is, if you drive the car with your conscious brain in practice and lock in all of these things so that you can flow the car around the racetrack with it being easy and without it costing you a lot of brain power, if you practice enough, that becomes automatic. And like, I get a lot is like, I don't know how you can talk and drive. It's because I've done so many laps of my process that my subconscious is doing the work. My feet know what they're doing, my hands know what they're doing. I understand how to load the weight transfer on the car through hours of repetition and 30 years of watching racing and scooping up any morsel of, you know, information about how to drive the car. So when you go racing, all of the driving of the car is automatic, and my entire focus can go down the road to idiot avoidance or accident avoidance. Use whichever word you choose. Let me bring up the data. So, you know, that that's the benefit of practice, if you ask me. If what you love is racing, the more, and if you're having a problem, if you're jumping in races and you're fine, you know, happy days. But if you're jumping in races and finding yourself in accidents a lot, then I think all you can do is worry about yourself. You can't, you know, you can't be in a different split without getting better or worse. You can't avoid the guy running into the back of you, but you can work on your ability to flow the car around the racetrack and be predictable. So if your lap times vary wildly and you're getting hit in the rear into the braking zones, is it the idiot behind you, or did you actually brake 3/10 different into that one turn? You have to ask yourself those sort of questions. And then the more you can flow the car automatically around the racetrack, the easier the racing becomes, the more brain power you can devote to the race. No, it's no offence taken at all. It's a talking point. And as I say, there's no right or wrong answer, because iRacing is what it is. You pay your money, you can get up the license classes without having any real idea of how to navigate a car around a racetrack, or any background of understanding how racecraft works, and you can be driving a Formula 1 car in an A-rated race. You know, but as I say, the purpose of the practice is to get out of the sim what I want from the sim, and that's to be in the greatest control of the race car that I can be. So anyway, having said that, let us have a butcher's down into the first sector. We've gained a 10th and we're doing it quite differently, and that's all right. As I said earlier, I'm never looking to make these graphs identical. I'm looking to match the time as best I can. I'm clipping the curb, he clearly isn't, but I'm happy enough doing that. It's losing me a bit of time over the curb, but I'm gaining it back here, braking for this corner, because I'm on a narrower line. So this is also a better defensive line if you're racing. If you are hanging out that fraction wider and somebody else is taking the trip over the curb, they might well have a jump in and have a go at you on the brakes. So I think it's worth practicing that. And, you know, back to what you're saying, Barry, even if in practice you're not going any quicker, if you drive around practicing defensive lines, or do a few laps imagining that you've got a guy on your inside or on your right or your left, and just practice braking in different places to be able to get round the track with someone up the inside, those few laps of doing that might stop you being in an accident in a race, and you're then driving past the pits with all those guys having mandatory repairs, and you're not one of them. It can be little things that change your racing fortune. But anyway, so half a two-thirds of a tenth in the first sector. We are now flying the curb to the millisecond, the same as Mr. VRS guy, and we're carrying more speed because we're pinching a bit as we come up. We're clattering the bollards that don't really exist. I'm less linear on the controls, but I'm carrying more speed, so I'm happy with that, obviously. Clark turn 7 is now better, and again, I'm not doing it exactly the same. I'm slowing the car down a bit more than he is, but I'm into the gas a bit harder. But my trail braking is yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming along and getting stuck in. Hopefully see you again. So my trail braking coincides with my throttle application, which is good. And even though I've slowed the car down, I gain a bit on the way out, which is why I'm faster down the straight. Arguably a better line if you're trying to set someone up. Unless they've made a mistake over the jump, you're never passing into Clark, but you could set up a pass into the final corner. So being faster and being slightly slower at the mid corner so that you don't run up the back of them, and getting a run on them down the straight might not be a bad thing. And then into the hairpin. So I'm a little softer late in the corner. What, on the trail braking you mean, Liam? What, here? Yeah, probs. I mean, he's trailing really lightly. This little bump here may simply be that I felt, I've not got as much wheel in the car, and I'm in third, he's in second, so that might be worth looking at. Yeah, see, he uses second really briefly to get the car rotated. Maybe I should look at that, and I'll do that in just a moment, because I'm clearly felt the need to apply a bit more brake. And it's these little things that you will only ever get from the data. You could put the two cars overlaid and it would be almost impossible to tell. It's such a subtle difference. We're on almost exactly the same line. He's doing an extra downshift just to help the rotation, so maybe there's something in that. So I'll go and try that, even though it's a fraction of a time difference. And then into the final corner. Yeah, I'm a bit hesitant on the gas. Look, we've lifted off in an identical place. I've actually braked a fraction earlier. I'm just not putting enough lock in the car because this thing's got a silly slow steering rack in it, and that is my excuse, and it will always be my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So anyway, let's do one more run, trying to second through Clark. Pro at getting out of the pits without crashing into the wall. And then we'll jump in the Porsche and scare ourselves silly over all the jumps, no doubt. Oh yeah, new booties, new seat, new booties. I'd worn my boxing boots out, so... Although I have gone fluoro orange, so, I apologise. I thought it would help see my feet, but then I realised that, it's such a close-up anyway that... See, I need to steer more coming off the corner. Right, okay. Just while the tyres are warming up, I'm going to try missing the red splodge down here. Oh, yeah, not by that much though. And try turning in a bit later. You actually don't get so much of a slowdown doing that. That little bit of runoff is well worth considering for the race. Oh, I was going to try second. Someone tell me to... someone tell me to use second. The Lonsdale boxing boots were a really good alternative to a pair of these, because on Sports Direct they're like half the price. The thing is, they've got little pimples on the sole, whereas these are flat, and they were shredding on the pedals. So whilst they were really a real good facsimile of a pair of racing boots, I didn't like having to clear all the stuff off the pedals. Right, second. Okay, later downshift than that. Need to find the rhythm again. See, now that's too much steering lock.
You're currently 0.6 at your best.
I definitely favour flying the curb down there. I don't know if second's going to work for me. We'll give it another couple of runs. But that's what I mean about using the data to help you drive the track the best way you can. The car will have more than one way to achieve its peak lap speed depending on how you drive, and I know I don't work the wheel as much as some. I know I'm not as good on the brakes as some, but I also know that I flow the car through the turns better than some. So I'm not looking to undo my good habits. I'm just looking to use the data to, work out where I'm not so good and what I can do about it. What it shows you what's possible with the racing car. Right, I don't like second through Clark, turn 7, so personally I'm not going to use it.
0.5, slower than your best.
Oh, yikes. I think I've styled my way out of that reasonably well, to be honest with you. I think the rhythm thing takes practice. As I said earlier, I've been iRacing 8 years and I've been sim driving 20. So that puts me in quite a different position to especially a lot of the people that have joined us throughout lockdown, and also maybe haven't been watching motorsport for donkey's years. But I do think that when you're in the mood to turn all the aids off and the delta bar off and just work on a rhythm, even if that's in the same car, as long as you're learning something, it's all going into your library of tricks to be called upon at a later date. Okay. Good drive out the corner. Right, let's try to be not bad. And maybe even quite good. Let's see what we can do. Missed the curb, and there's the off track. Probably get back on the gas a bit harder there. I mean, I would imagine if I can do 46 lows in this weather condition for the race, that would be reasonable pace. Missed it. Yeah. Turned in. Racing around Knockhill tonight. Yeah, might try it. What's the worst that can happen, eh? Everyone ends up in a heap in turn 1. Right, I think that's all I'm going to max out of this thing, so
Pit speed limit.
it's Porsche time.
What's your speed? That puts you 0.7 off your best.
Which is going to be an experience. I don't know whether it's going to be a good experience, but it's going to be an experience. Righty, let's load this bad boy up. Porsche Season 1. 46 flat for the Porsche, so a step slower again, as has been the trend with last season as well, hasn't it? The Porker is backwards in a wall. Yeah, maybe. Flying the curbs is going to be fun in this thing, isn't it? Right, that's loading. I need to take a quick pit stop, so I'll be back in a second or two, folks.